Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us at our virtual Healing Hearts Society breakfast. I'm Tammy Squire, the director of Ellie's Place, West Michigan, and it's my honor to have you here with us today. As you know, our organization, along with Michigan and the rest of the world, has faced so many challenges this past year. Although it has been difficult, it has also been inspiring. Life has been a journey of adjustments to meet the needs of families, rethinking and reimagining our important work, and always staying focused, all while remaining flexible. I'm so grateful to all of you for your continued support of Ellie's Place, West Michigan, and the support we provide to grieving children and teens in our community. For now, our programming continues to look a bit different, but our grief services continue, and we remain dedicated to our mission. We do this in spite of the pandemic and the restrictions created by COVID-19. I am proud to share that our team has stepped up and implemented innovative ways to provide bi-weekly programming and school-based Ellie's group to our families throughout the past year, and will continue to do so until deemed safe to gather back in person. Our events like this and opportunities for community and donor engagement will continue in unique ways using technology, ingenuity, and what has become our beloved Zoom platform. While things have certainly been different, we are still able to provide a safe virtual space for grieving children and teens to combat the isolation, sadness, and anger, and other feelings that can occur after the death of someone close to them. Although so much of our lives have shifted, it is clear to us that the need for this support has not gone away. In fact, more important than ever, we are proud to continue to be able to continue this work of allowing hearts to heal. I look forward to and remain hopeful for the time in the near future where we do not have to meet each other through a screen. Rather, we can gather again to not only provide services to Ellie's Place, but also where we can all celebrate and support this great work. Let's hear a few updates from Karen Ketterer, Interim Program Director.
Hello, and thank you all for being here today to learn about and to support Ellie's Place, West Michigan. I am Karen Ketterer, the Interim Program Director. This year, we have worked hard to adjust our programming so that Ellie's Place is able to continue supporting West Michigan children, teens, and families who are grieving a death. We restructured our on-site support groups into a virtual format via Zoom. We continue to offer groups for kids ages 3 to 18, as well as an adult group for their parents and caregivers. Here are a few things that our families participating in virtual groups have shared with us. My child loves her virtual group. She feels very supported. Thank you for being there. My daughter has been able to express her feelings a little more instead of bottling them up constantly. This has been a big improvement. A teen shared that the most helpful thing for her at Ellie's Place is being able to talk and having people that actually listen. We have also been able to partner with schools to bring our 8-week grief support groups to students in a virtual setting. We look forward to transitioning back to in-person services this year and to utilize what we have learned to reach even more families in our community. The need for grief support services for children in West Michigan continues to grow. We have seen a 25% increase in inquiries and clinical consultations this year. We are serving many families that have experienced a death due to COVID-19, as well as helping families whose grief has been compounded by the isolation and loss related to the pandemic. Simply put, we need you. With your support, we can continue to expand our work so that no child in West Michigan has to grieve alone. Now please join me in watching this video from an Ellie's Place group. Thank you.
I would just like to welcome you back to Ellie's Place and thank you for your willingness to share your experiences and your wisdom from when you were attending an Ellie's Place support group. And it might have been here on site or it might have been at one of our high schools. I really am confident that the information that you share today, the stories that you tell, will be helpful to alleviate some of the apprehension and the fears that maybe other teenagers have about joining an Ellie's Place grief support group. Why would I want to go to a grief group where I'm just going to feel more pain? It's just going to bring it all up. Why would that be a good thing? Can you guys speak to that a little bit?
So I thought one of the things that was really cool about Ellie's Place is you get to choose how you grieve at Ellie's Place. You can choose if you want to be quiet or if you want to talk. How do you express yourself in the activities? And that's something that you were saying with you have a therapist, you can't really do. They kind of set the tone for you. But at Ellie's Place, you kind of set your own tone. And you can, if you want to talk more, you can, but if you want to talk less, you can also. I think that's something that's really unique about Ellie's Place.
This is more of a place where you can open up to anybody. You can feel comfortable talking to people, and it's more of a stress reliever than it is to try to handle it yourself.
It kind of felt like a family in a way. I could relate to people, I understood where they were coming from and what they were feeling and how I was feeling, and I thought it just made it, there was a connection, unlike at school.
When I came here, all the people in my group we were able to be vulnerable and talk about stuff that you wouldn't usually talk about.
It just felt more like a peaceful and calm environment where everybody could just talk to each other. Everybody was open to supporting each other.
That process, understanding that everybody has their own pace, everybody has their own way of expressing their emotions is what I'm hearing from you today. And kind of that understanding of that is something that you've really taken from your groups, is that compassion and understanding.
Learning is inevitable from your group members and I feel like the journey kind of never stops. It's learning that everybody grieves differently and you don't need to force your method of coping on them.
You'll meet a lot of new kids that you would never have met in your life, but these kids you really relate to in a different way than your normal friends. And some of those kids you'll probably be friends with for the rest of your life. And when you listen to them, you get lessons from them that you never really understood. You have takeaways that are special to you. And you can apply those to your own life.
It may be scary at first, but after a while, this is a safe place. You can say what you need to say and grieve how you need to grieve, and nobody's gonna judge you for it or stop you, and you're safe here.
I remember the first day we came, we made 10 rules. It was no one can go on their phones. You can't tell anybody anything, outside the group, and just made you feel a lot more safe.
No one should have to grieve by themselves. And I think that's a great motto that Ellie's Place has.
I think that having that ability to talk about how you're thinking and feeling is just so important. And I want to thank you so much for doing that today.
Wow, so touching. Ellie's Place, West Michigan would not be able to provide this support without all of you and without the generous sponsors who helped make today's event possible, including the Meyer Foundation, Gun Lake Casino, and Fifth Third Bank. A heartfelt thank you to you again, our generous sponsors, and to each of you watching this morning. Also to our wonderful volunteers, board members, and a team of dedicated Ellie's Place, West Michigan staff. Testimonies like the ones we just heard from children and teens are possible because of each of you. Life is a beautiful way of connecting us together. Sometimes it's in recognizable ways, but often it is by a series of events that bond us and join us together to build friendships, form support systems, all in a safe space where we can feel free to share our pain. A place where we can laugh, listen, cry, and learn to heal. This is the Ruddy's story of their son, Tommy. It is my pleasure to introduce this incredible family, Tom, Amanda, and Isabella Ruddy.
Someone once said to me, grief is just love and it has nowhere to go. So we were faced with this love we have for her, but for Tommy, we don't know what to do with it.
A love so big and so raw.
You can't just shove it down. You can't push grief out, unfortunately. You have to come face to face with it.
As hard and as painful as that might be.
A cannonball.
Tommy was 5 years old when he got diagnosed. He was a completely normal, healthy, spunky 5-year-old little boy about to enter kindergarten.
In 2016, Tommy was diagnosed with DIPG, an aggressive and incurable brain tumor in the brainstem.
We were revved up, fighting the fight of cancer, just ready to roar, and that quickly came to a halt. In 11 weeks, our son was gone.
Just a little less than 3 months after his diagnosis, life as the Ruddys knew it would forever be different.
We didn't know when. When do we start? How do we start? Like, it's like you're in a movie and you're watching yourself, and how is this even real?
And where do we go from here? Not only for them, but their 8-year-old daughter at the time who just lost her best friend.
We knew she was holding a lot in, that maybe she was trying not to hurt us and make us show more grief.
Yeah, and there's no playbook. So you can talk about it, you can read a pamphlet and do all those things, but at the end of the day, you've got to keep moving forward. And I think that when we got here, that was kind of the step of, okay, here's a pathway. You can kind of choose which road you want to go down.
And that's when they chose the path that led them to Ellie's Place.
A grief roadmap. And I think that Ellie's Place is kind of on that roadmap. And I think you put yourself in a position where you're lost and you don't even have a map. I think the first start is coming to Ellie's Place and trying to figure out how you're going to move through that, journey of grief.
But we were hesitant because we thought we could do it on our own. We don't need this. We're fine, but we were worried about her. Like, we have each other as adults, but she doesn't have anyone as a kid now. So that was important to us, to help her find other children who are feeling the same way she is, and also other adults that she could trust in that weren't going through grief, because we didn't have family here. So we came here pretty quickly after he passed.
I thought it was kind of cool. I got to meet people who went through the same thing as me, because at school nobody really understands, but I'm at Ellie's Place. I got to talk to somebody about it that I can trust. So.
Some of those people were Ellie's Place facilitators, Pat and Sierra.
Pat was her leader for the entire time she was here at Ellie's Place, and she really took to her well. She entrusted her. She would greet her with a hug when we got here. She was always excited to see her, she was just really good with the kids. She really got them to express their grief in ways that's not traditional for adults, to sit in a room and talk and cry, right? Like, kids are having fun, but also grieving and processing, and having a group leader that she can trust was dynamic in her success in the program, for sure. She still talks about her.
So Isabella came into Ellie's Place not really wanting to talk about her feelings, and I'd say by the end of it, it was amazing how she evolved. She really did. She evolved.
And she really grew, and I think she got to where her feelings were and to be able to express them. She was a joy in there. She was a leader. She was kind of like the little mom in there. Kids would come up, and not necessarily just grief, but issues at school, and she would always be the one to say, well, what about this? And what if you try that? So she was very helpful to the other kids.
It was kind of normal when they were all in that one room where we all met, and they would all just kind of congregate and do their thing, and then it was normal for a little bit. And I think things come out. Like, she would come home and tell us certain things that just naturally came out, organically came out. So that's the way to do it. I think that's, for us, it was the healthy way. We didn't force her to come here. She kind of wanted to come here.
She was so bright and positive most of the time and there for everybody. But when we were all talking with each other, she would say, I wish my brother were here, or I wish I could be doing this with my brother, or I should have done this with my brother. So she definitely did go through those things, even though she was this great leader in our group.
I remember her saying, even when he was sick, that they would be out in the backyard on the swing. She would bring wonderful books, those picture books of trips and vacations, and she would share with that. So she had wonderful memories.
And the work she was doing inside Ellie's Place could be felt the moment she left.
The car ride home was always a good release for us. we got to hear a little bit about what she was doing, but she also kept her friends' stories confidential, you know, like it's a safe space, like she mentioned, and that was important. We never pressed her for information, but anything that she wanted to share with us was always positive. She always had a good time, and they were very creative with helping the kids get their emotions out in ways other than counseling, traditional counseling or questions. You know, they would make clay figures of their emotions they were experiencing. And then during the car ride home, she'd talk to us about why she made a mad emoji or a sad emoji. And it just was a very unique approach to helping kids process their grief. Mm-hmm. And it helped us understand how to help her even more.
I guess like it kind of also took my mind off things when they like fun time and stuff. But also we could talk about it, and I still think about it, but it helped me get through it.
The services offered at Ellie's Place are free to families when they need it most.
We just got out of a very expensive medical realm, and we just paid for a funeral, 2 funerals. And yes, we have help and support, but Ellie's doesn't charge you. And it's, at the time, it may not seem like a big deal, but it was. You know, it was just something we didn't have to think about. Knowing that that wasn't another burden that we would have to carry was huge.
So they could focus on what mattered, each other.
Ellie's Place was good for the 3 of us because it could encompass Isabella. And while she was in her group setting with kids, we could sit in ours if we chose to. And, you know, we were in the child loss room. So we could get out feelings that we were having, and she could get out her feelings. So just embracing those feelings and working through them and kind of normalizing them, seeing other people that really have this too, helped us.
It helped them get to where they are today.
I'm pretty proud of where we've come from. You've got to keep that smile on your face, like Tommy did, and even when he was going through it, I mean, it was amazing. Even when he couldn't talk, he was still, you know, making us happy just by little things that he was doing. And so I think that's you know, it'd be a shame if we didn't keep that going as long as possible. So that's what we do.
What were some of his favorite things?
He really liked yellow.
Yeah.
He loved his yellow Converse, which he wore like every day. And he was kind of a neat freak. He cleaned the bottom of his shoes every day he got home from school. He didn't like dirt. He really liked going outside and playing soccer.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of his sayings that we still say, and
a lot of them.
What are those?
That's what I do, right?
Yeah. I control you.
Yeah, I control. He told Isabella one time, "I control you." So we still say that a lot around the house. We just yell things out.
Yeah.
And, you know, we know that it means
We're
that.
a loud house.
Yeah, we are. So you could just tell that you know, there's the joy in our house. He has something to do with it. He has something to do with it. So.
Grief is a journey. It never stops. It never leaves you. It just changes and moves with you through life. And Ellie's Place is a vital stop on that journey.
He was truly an unconditional lover, really. Like, he loved people. And he always saw the good in people and wanted to make people better. So, like, one of his best friends was in a wheelchair. And he used to always say how he felt bad for him and felt bad that the kids made fun of him. But he never saw that side of people. So for me, he just makes me see beyond the surface and see the good in people and not someone's disability or... And it's a big part of who I am personally and professionally, and he's driven me to go back to school and become a nurse practitioner in 6 weeks. So I'm just excited to carry on what he's taught me about love and people.
I see things in a whole different way now. And unfortunately it took that, but I think you need to change for the better. And, you know, we all have in our own way.
What a moving story. Now I'd like to introduce you to 2 very special people, Mike and Sue Jandernoa, Ellie's Place, West Michigan, founding members and supporters.
Mike and I are honored to be able to talk to you this morning about Ellie's Place, West Michigan, and our involvement in this important work. We were part of the initial group that brought Ellie's Place to our community. We were made aware of several families that were traveling quite far every week to seek support for their grief to Ellie's Place in Lansing and Ann Arbor. Grand Rapids needed this type of organization to have a presence in our area, and through the hard work, dedication, financial resources, and diligence of many, it happened.
Sue and I have been proudly supporting Ellie's Place, West Michigan since it first came to our community almost 8 years ago. We feel it's made a significant positive impact on families in the area, including ours. 3 years ago, we lost our 5-year-old granddaughter, Audrey. And like the Ruddies, we know firsthand how devastating this was to our entire family. Families who experience this kind of loss are blindsided and paralyzed by how to deal with the lasting effects of death. The services provided by Ellie's Place are vital for children and their families in the healing process in order to move forward.
This past year, the COVID-19 pandemic, including lockdowns, isolation, and much loss, has further exacerbated the need for grief support services. Children and families are now suffering more than ever. The organization has seen a 25% increase in inquiries and clinical consultations just this past year. They are now unfortunately also serving many families who have experienced a COVID-19 related death. Despite the realities of the coronavirus and the additional loneliness and isolation grieving children have been experiencing over this past year, we are still able to provide a safe and welcoming virtual space. Annually, it costs approximately $600 per child to provide these services.
We continue to support Ellie's Place through the Healing Hearts Society platform. Through our work in the community, we've always felt that committing to organizations with multi-year pledges allows for planning, security, and growth. A multi-year pledge or a one-time gift from you allows this important work to continue. The Ruddies and many other West Michigan families have expressed that it's such a relief to be able to access the Ellie's Place support groups without the burden of how to pay to get the needed assistance for their children. The only way to continue to provide these services free of charge to our local families is through your financial gifts. As you can see, this work is absolutely essential.
We ask you to join us in making a donation to Ellie's Place, West Michigan, to help accomplish our mission that no child grieves alone. Thank you so much for giving.
Thank you, Mike and Sue. You truly are impacting so many with your love and generous support. And thank you to all of you for taking time out of your busy morning to learn more about our organization. We strive to continue fulfilling our mission so that no child grieves alone. Simply put, we cannot do this without each of you. Please consider making a donation here today so that we can continue helping other children like Isabella. Together, we can help heal hearts. Please join our question and answer portion for the next several minutes to ask questions and to learn more about Ellie's Place, West Michigan. Thank you. Hi there. Thank you so much for watching our Healing Heart Society breakfast. And I'm Tammy Squire, Director of Ellie's Place, West Michigan, and this is Karen Ketterer, Interim Program Director, and Christy is behind the screen. And we want to let you know that we're going to keep the question and answer portion going for about until 8:45. If we don't get to your questions, we will make sure that you receive them via email after. Also want to remind you that donations are being matched up to $10,000. So if you haven't made a gift yet, we can ask you to do so. So
double your impact.
You can make a bigger difference. So we're going to go ahead.
Yeah, we're gonna take some questions. So if there's anything you're wondering about on the program side, on the development side, on what Ellie's Place does in our community, if you look on your control panel, there should be a little bubble with a question mark in it that you can click on to answer or to ask a question. So Christy is going to be watching for those, and we'll be asking them as we go. So let us know what you're wondering about.
And also there's a donate link in the chat box. So you can just click on that and it'll make your donating easier.
Yeah. Okay, Christy here asking the question. Looks like we have one that says, can you please share how you are currently providing support to families and kids? Absolutely. So it's been a crazy year for